if this is resonant with you. And this is part of why the stories of our neighborhoods are so powerful. And specifically in places like the South Bronx, there's this kind of like, I guess I think it's fair to say, like, evil paradox that on the one hand says, this is not a place worthy of your affection, of your time, of your investment, which is one of the most powerful stories. Like, this is not a place that you should love. You should leave it. It's not worthy of your affection. And on the other hand, you also can't own it.
Right.
Which you'd think, like, rationally, those wouldn't go together. But that, to me, that feels like a kind of a powerful, evil kind of double whammy. Because to me, and tell me, this is where I'm like, chase this down, tell me if you feel like this is true, both in the South Bronx and lots of other places, that not only is there a lot of narrative change work that has to happen because the beauty of the people and the place and the history needs to be celebrated and lived into. There are so many reasons for our affection and love and respect. And if there's no access to ownership of any kind where we can take care of it, then almost always there's other people from outside town or around the country that are going to be dictating our futures. And so, am I on something there? And part of this is like, why did you go from community development to real estate development? To me, it's pretty obvious, but I kind of think it's helpful for people to understand this like dynamism and this relationship. Maybe say more about that.
Yeah, and I think that it's actually a triple whammy, because the other piece is that, not only is it not worthy, of affection from you or from anyone else, because the thing is, like, it's not worthy of affection by people both in the community and those on the outside looking in, allegedly working to serve or support it, whether it's the nonprofit, industrial complex, or government, private, whatever. It doesn't make any difference, and it's like difficult to own it, right? Because there's all these, functionally structural, barriers to people owning it. But you're also like led to believe that somehow or another, you need, that the only way for you is to get out, and to measure any success you have by how far you get away from it. So all three of those things play in this really, really sadistic kind of dance, because ultimately it leaves the people who are the most involved, in those communities from ever being a part of it. And it's led, and it's totally designed to either perpetuate the poverty that's in those communities, or, leave it open for all the predatory, speculation that goes on in those communities. But it's all like put all on the premise that, yeah, the place has no value. And by association, you have no value as long as you stay in it, because you will never be treated that way. And it is such a crazy making, dynamic that we see play out in neighborhoods like this all over the place. And again, I don't care if they're inner cities or Native American reservations or even poor white towns, where there was industry, but it doesn't exist anymore. And we see like how it impacts like the individual, but also the collective spirit of those places, which again, just leaves it vulnerable for others to come in and do as they please. Which is mostly being the people who do own it, and then who profit off the fact that we're not owning anything.
Yes.
And that is, I think, one of the hardest and most insidious pieces of it, because not only do they make it difficult, through the structural racism that, this country is built on, to even for us to have access to the capital, to make it happen. And it's because it's really, crazy making when you look at some of the data about what still happens in our communities these days, in terms of housing discrimination and banking discrimination, and it is real. So yeah, so my book and even just my work has really been just, I guess it could be considered heresy to the status quo development, because I'm just like, we got to figure out something, that makes us recognize that we have every right to want great things for our neighborhoods.
Yes.
Which is us,